All right, so this is the IView team. Welcome to Channel 9. So now, I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what you guys do or anything. So could you introduce yourself and tell me what's going on here?
Talk to the founder.
All right.
Hi.
How you doing?
Okay, I'm Jan. So I started this project a few years back. 7-8 years back, I was working at the BBC in London, UK, and I had to face thousands and thousands of media files, audio files, text files, anything. I needed a way to organize the stuff, and I started this application kind of on a weekend basis to help me organize. Terrible problems with my wife back then. I had to find some space in the park to do it in the weekend. One of the things that kind of started this was, okay, so there was a few projects out there that kind of put media files together and helped you catalog and find, but it didn't seem to me to be much of, in a way to, okay, so you have your images or media, but you need to do something with them afterwards. So you need to maybe create a website or print or do something practical. Okay, so kind of the invention was there. Okay, so this is like a Swiss Army knife tool. Okay, you have all your media there, and then you can repurpose. You can start workflows. You can start doing things. So I guess that was the beginning. So people added lots of ideas. So it was a project that helped me primarily for my day job, as it were. It got on, and a few kind of early adopters in that area picked it up and said, well, okay, so this is a good app. And as it grew, maybe 4 or 5 years later, it almost became a space, a workflow application. And so here we are, I guess, a few years later. It is the realm of companies a lot bigger.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but where are we?
Okay, Redmond.
We're in Redmond,
so,
huh?
We're in Redmond.
This room looks kind of familiar. It's a conference room.
It's not familiar.
Company's pretty familiar too, huh?
Absolutely, yes. So it's been a dream come true, as in the transition from a company that was leading this, as in the middle of the forest, kind of cutting trees across, to being incorporated into an establishment like this. I think that the future is fantastic for the product, I guess.
And this room represents the team.
Yep.
The whole
almost
team.
all here.
Cool. Let's introduce yourselves. Let's go around real quickly, and then we can continue talking. But you should put a name to a face.
Cool. I'm Kevin Byer. I'm the product unit manager, so I get to work with all these folks every day, building the next generation.
Fantastic.
Phil Hayward, I'm the program manager, customer support manager.
I'm Kostas Malias, I run the Rich Media Group, and I had the privilege of identifying the company and deciding that we should bring them to Microsoft.
Nice job.
My name is Douglas Norton, and I was the senior developer at IView, and I'm continuing on developing here at Microsoft.
Fantastic.
Hi, I'm Marek. I'm Mac developer in IView. I'm working on the next version of IView.
Fantastic.
I'm Christian Klein, and I've been working for 3 years on the Windows development.
Fantastic.
I'm Kelly Sim. I'm based in the UK in London doing marketing for IView.
Excellent.
Angela Baxley, designer, and I just wanted to be on TV.
Right on. So you have nothing to do with this group. That's cool.
No, I'm interested. I like their users and learning about it.
Excellent.
But I'm not supposed to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about how this application works. I mean, you kind of put out the problem space, right? You're trying to solve. You have a huge collection of media files that are kind of disorganized all over the operating system, whichever one it happens to be.
Yes.
And you've created an application that organizes it and categorizes it that makes sense for users.
Actually, we should just break into a demo and have Jan actually show you what exactly we're talking about.
You serious?
That's enthusiasm.
Yeah, he actually knows the product pretty well, so.
Okay, so it's primarily a cataloging application. So you drag and drop files, and they appear as thumbnails. They are photographs. They are. We have some sounds here. In fact, the application is very kind of powerful in terms of showing you what you have in here. So one of the original requirements, for instance, is that back then I had to work with all these different file formats here. So I can instantly click on let me find those images. I mean, there are some really cool features. I can, I guess, double click and consider the entire image. I can go and find a movie somewhere here and play that one. Is it sound on this?
That's fine.
Okay, so or in this view, or even this view, if I wanted to. So it kind of offers you all sorts of utilities to get into the media. I mean, regardless of what this is. I mean, that could be a PDF, for instance. I'm not sure if in this catalog there's some PDFs. So I can double click on this. I can navigate to the next page of the PDF, and so on and so forth. And that's kind of the beginning. So once you got all this stuff in there, you can do things with it. So, for instance, printing. I mean, amazingly, 6 years ago, there were all these cataloging applications, and none of them bothered to do any printing. So, maybe you want to play a slideshow. So I can select, a few images here and run a slideshow, which is kind of instantly configurable. You see here a different window size. I can have 4 items playing at the same time. I can put sound. I mean, the application is. One of the interesting uses of the application is currently graphic artists at Walt Disney, for instance, are the guys who put the cartoons together. They have to run a presentation, say at the end of a session, in front of the art directors, and they go through the images and say, okay, so you need to move this character there and this guy there, and so on and so forth. I mean, the application has a very, very strong audience in terms of. It's been used all over the place, from Afghanistan war to kind of Playboy, Miss America.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure Hapner's running this. Hey, so I forgot one person. I'm sorry. You're sitting back here.
Oh, me, yeah. I'm Peter. I run the commercial side of the business.
Oh, so you're the marketing guy.
I was the marketing guy, yeah.
All right, later on, man.
It is worth mentioning this office was about the same size as our entire company back in the UK. So
really?
we're at a bigger place, I think.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about the technical challenges, because you mentioned any type of file. Right?
Yes,
so you're going to be dealing with proprietary files. You're going to have to figure out how to crack into them. So how do you solve that problem?
There's been a lot of cracking. A lot of cracking, hacking. It's a challenge. The industry is moving that way. The product has focused towards photography, professional photography in that matter. And one of the challenges has been keeping up with Japanese manufacturers, for instance. Every new camera is a new file format, means more work for us. The good thing is that this kind of area is becoming almost mainstream now. So it's not a realm of a few people. It's like everybody's interested. So sooner or later, these things will converge, and hopefully, we here as a company will be able to use that convergence.
Fantastic. So developers, let's talk a little bit about. I'm assuming it's a C++ application on Windows, COM, right? Is that kind of what's going on?
Not COM.
Okay.
Yeah. So on the Mac, it's C++ application we are using for GUI. We are using Carbon API. We started to play with Coco as well, so it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
On Windows, maybe Christian is much better person to talk about it. It's mainly MFC, I believe.
Oh, MFC, huh? All right.
Yeah, it is. Basically, as it's a cross-platform application, we have to work with some plugins to, let's say, if we want to read a Windows media file or different file formats, then at that level, then we're adding some COM component. But as it's cross-platform, we try to have a technology that is not dependent on the machine.
Sure. Now, is it local only? In other words, can I grab stuff from the internet, obviously, pass in a URL, grab a bunch of images
Yeah,
from Flickr, store them, blah, blah, blah?
You can, for instance, type in a generic URL and download like 100 pictures in one go, or you can import HTML pages. You can FTP your content automatically after you've created an HTML gallery. Then automatically you can say, I want to put that on my blog or wherever you want. So it's quite open. Yeah.
Very cool. And now that you work for the giant, wonderful company of Microsoft, you'll probably be able to play around with some of our technologies like WCF as a good way to deal with networking, or perhaps WPF for UI. Could be kind of fun.
That's a technology we'd look into. It's actually what Microsoft has given us is the ability to actually leverage a lot more resources in the development of the program, which has helped us in many ways, improving the quality of the program, and also in various development ways we've managed to actually use new tools in our development cycle too. Tools we wouldn't have had access to outside of Microsoft.
Interesting. Okay. But of course, you'll be using tools like Visual Studio.
Oh yes, yeah,
right? We use our own tools.
We use our own
You're
tools.
talking about internal tools to do specific...
internal testing tools.
Exactly.
Things like that.
Very cool. Excellent. So, let me ask you something, sir. Why did you want to buy this company?
Well, it's actually quite simple. If you look at people's hard drives and you look at what's happening, Excel files and Word files and PowerPoints are basically becoming a very, very small amount of the hard drive. And what's really filling up the hard drive is basically movies, it's videos, it's photographs, which I'm personally very interested in, and my team works on quite a bit. And what's happening is all this creative professional stuff that's happening is moving down to the prosumer. It's moving down to people like you and me. And people are just drowning in bits. So we looked around and we thought, what's a great application out there that's really making some hay in the market? And IView, turns out, has been winning editor awards, has been getting all kinds of recognition for their product, and they've also been around for about 8 years, and they've been building on it. Small company, easy to work with. There isn't a lot of complicated issues around sort of the acquisition part of it. Very, very loyal customers. We actually were looking at sort of some customer satisfaction numbers, and I can actually quote these. How many of the people that currently own IView would rebuy the product, and I think we were at 94 or 95%, which is, quite frankly, it's ridiculous for our industry. People just aren't that loyal. And with that kind of a loyal customer base, with that kind of an innovative product, with a team like the one you're seeing right here, it left very little doubt for us than to actually make an investment in the company, bring them here, and then see what we can do as a bigger team. Put some of the Microsoft resources behind it, go after solving some of the big problems that the creative community has. One of the things that's always come up for me is people's images in creative product is like a customer file is to a bank, is like financial statements are to Morgan Stanley, for example, and they're really, really important to make sure you can find them, that you don't lose them. The workflow that you work through is actually appropriate. It's really valuable stuff, and this company in IView and its team has done a really great job in figuring out how to handle those important documents and in some cases video and even potentially code, code snippets, and how do you actually file stuff and find stuff.
Outstanding.
So it's been great. It's been great.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's just a great categorization software. Right?
Yeah, and you can have metadata. You can find stuff. The problem, everyone talks about search. This is about finding stuff. This is about finding your stuff. And I just bought two 500 gigabyte drives. So I have a terabyte plus the RAID array I have on my current machine. And through a couple of catalogs that IView will allow you to do, I can actually carry all of that on my notebook. It's got an 80 gigabyte hard drive. You get basically screen size resolution of your photos that you can take with you anywhere.
Fantastic.
So the solutions are really practical.
Very good.
It's great.
Excellent. Well, let's talk a little bit more about what it's like. How long have you guys been here? I mean, how long have you been at Microsoft? You're now all blue badge employees.
Yeah.
What's it like? What's your impression for the first however long?
We've been here nearly 5 weeks now, full time, actually here in Redmond. The transition's been really easy for us. Microsoft have really bent over backwards to give us everything we need to get settled in. We're thoroughly enjoying actually being here. We're discovering the locality.
Doug bought a Lexus.
Yeah, I bought a Lexus.
Wow.
I knew we paid too much.
We'll get to that later. No. That's cool. Alexis, why didn't you get a Carrera, man? You guys didn't ask for enough.
He got all the money.
He did, yeah, well, the founder, of course. He's driving the Carrera. Excellent.
I just started my Ferraris.
He's very generous. He's a very generous Greek man.
So now, I know I would imagine seeing the size of your team, that there's no way you have like PMs and test managers and testers and hardcore development process the way that you're probably experiencing it now at Microsoft, where we have that really giant and highly useful process for writing software without too many bugs in it. So what are you thinking? Like, how's the transition from going to small little kick-ass team to a big one?
It's a big challenge, however, it's great. It's really great for the product, for the quality of the product. We are working hard on it to make this transition from sort of small development environment to huge corporate development. It's really good. It should benefit a product a lot. Yes,
get rid of all those buffer overruns that might be in there. Huh?
Especially on bot platforms, Mac and Windows should benefit a lot from this transition.
Fantastic. So let me just ask you quickly, what's it like writing for two platforms? I mean, you're writing. Let's talk about that briefly.
Yes, it's more difficult. You have to think more about structure of the code, about API that you want to design and to implement.
Sure.
You have to think twice before you start your job.
Excellent.
It's challenging. It's a really big challenge. However, it's good. It's really good. That's really nice to see your code running on both platforms, on Mac and on Windows.
All right, well, that's great. And hopefully you guys will use some managed code for some of your UI, maybe.
Yeah,
which would be a Windows thing,
yeah.
but it's pretty.
Yeah, that's a kind of a future version thing. As we kind of look down the path, we've got this classic application that's C and C++ code, and so one of the things we're kind of wrestling with right now is as we advance the product both on Windows and on Macintosh, how do we do that? Do we continue kind of this cross-platform parity thing, or do we start thinking, you know, the frameworks that have been developed on the applications are becoming really powerful and really cool? I mean, .NET 3.0 really rocks. It's really a great framework, and Cocoa on the Macintosh is really a great framework. So one of the things we're wrestling with right now is trying to decide, are there places in the application where we really need to go platform specific in the frameworks that we're using and pull away from some of the older technology? MFC's got us a long way on the IView application to this point, but there's some really cool stuff that's happening on Vista. Avalon rocks, and so we're thinking really, really hard about which of those technologies to adopt. You need to be pinched.
It's WPF.
WPF, yeah, right. WPF, what was I thinking?
I would say anybody who names a development platform Cocoa, get the hell out of here. Get out of here,
So one
man.
of the questions you were asking before was about all the different kind of file formats. So another one of the new technologies in Vista that's being backported to XP is WIC, the Windows Imaging Components. And that's going to solve some pretty big problems for us, because it's a pain in the butt right now, actually, to support raw images inside the product. Because like Jan was saying, every time a new camera comes out, there's a new format, there's a new variant, and being able to keep up with that is really hard. One of the cool things that WIC does is it pushes that kind of variation back on the IHV, on that vendor, and so they can release new versions. Every time they have a new camera come out, that gets downloaded, and we're automatically up to date. So it's a really, really cool model.
Excellent. So now let's talk a little bit about, do you guys have, I mean, you probably don't, it seems to be a standalone product, but let's say, as a developer, I'd like to use some of your underlying technologies, which are pretty awesome. Like I could use your stuff to crack files that you're doing. So in other words, do you have an API? That's a simple question.
Yeah, there are 3 APIs in the product. Whether they are easily transferable or not, I mean, that's a different question. But we are already propagating some of the know-how, especially in terms of getting metadata out of images. To other
What's going on? What's going on over there? You didn't like that question?
Okay, so I really didn't want to be on TV.
Yeah, you did.
Can I speak? I'm just...
Well, that's cool. So there's some APIs that they're public things that people can play around with.
Play around with, yes, definitely. And actually, that was one of the solutions to the challenge of developing cross-platform software, was to isolate those areas that can be APIs, as it were, and that was well. But one comment I wanted to make earlier, as I was listening to Kostas, which has nothing to do with this, is that if people have a copy of Collateral Damage with Arnold Schwarzenegger, IView is right at the end where Arnold is trying to find the villain, and he pulls up the software and he goes through the slides and finds the software. So when Warner Brothers asked us, you know, we need to change some of the screens because, you know, we need to put a red alert button, dialogue, you know, like they have in Hollywood movies. And I said, no, you know, maybe not. And they added some sound effects, you know, so when you go from one movie to the other, it goes. Awesome. So check it out.
That's
IView. Video. That's
really
IView.
Cool. Fantastic, man. So now you mentioned, you mentioned actually that you work in the UK.
Yes.
So in other words, all of IView didn't come to Redmond. You still have a home there.
No, yeah, we're still, Peter and I, and Tim, who's not here, yeah, we're still based out there doing some marketing work and in the sales and operations support. Phil's out there as well doing support.
Very cool. But the development mothership has moved into
That's
here.
right.
All right, interesting. So what else can we talk about? You know, the future of IView?
Yeah.
Can we talk about where you guys are going to evolve, or?
Well, so all these people are still engaged, right? Things haven't slowed down. Things are actually speeding up. So the future for the product inside Microsoft is actually really bright. And we got Windows folks in the room. We got Macintosh folks in the room. Do the math. We got lots and lots of stuff that's happening on the product, and we've got a roadmap laid out about 3 generations in the future that looks like we're going to keep all these people and some other folks probably busy working on that.
Very cool, and it'd be nice to see your app light up on Vista.
Yeah, we're really anxious to do that. I really want to see it running on glass.
It would be nice, and take advantage of some of the other cool things of that system. Yeah, improve memory management, faster. I mean, you have a terabyte of data on a disk, it's spread out all over it. It'd be nice to have a smarter subsystem that can get at the stuff faster. Besides the limitations of the manual seeks on the disk.
Right.
There's great memory work that's happened in Vista. We're good, really smart caching. So anyway,
well, and being able to tie into the existing grovelers for the search systems that are there, being able to pull that metadata out, get that integrated quickly into the metadata that we're managing inside of the application. Like Douglas was saying, there's so many good things that are happening right now that are relevant to creative pros inside the work that we're doing in other marketplaces. We get a chance to be able to take some of those technologies, to integrate those into the work that we're doing and kind of focus that in on a market that we haven't necessarily paid as much attention to. So we're really jazzed about being able to do that.
Cool. And for current IView people, I mean, implicitly, it seems to me like we didn't buy you, take your technology, and we're going to shove it into one of our products. What I mean by that is you guys are you exist. Right? We bought you, but IView is going to continue to evolve.
Yeah, IView Media Pro continues in, boy, I'll tell you, looking a lot like it looks today for right now. And I got great ideas. Jan's had great ideas about what the next version was going to look like. Other people inside of the company have got those ideas as well. And this actually gives us a chance to take some of those ideas and bring them out for folks in the not so distant future.
Absolutely. And I guess, I should retract a little bit and say, you guys are a small team, right? Obviously very intelligent people. But
we actually have 300 people in the other room.
You have 300 people in the other room. But what you get...
They have nothing to do with us, but they're over there.
Hey, the point is you have Microsoft Research.
That's right.
You have some really incredible people working on some unbelievably incredible technologies that could in fact work together with your technology, which you wouldn't get if you didn't come as one of the, friendly Microsofties.
Yep. Yeah, we've actually got a couple of the groups in MSR. We got a couple of groups in MSR that we've been working with, actually with Costas's group, and then transferring some of those over here. Just some amazing things.
Cool. So IView is going to get better.
IView is absolutely going to get better.
Cool. Well, it was great to meet you. I don't know what else we could talk about. This is basically an intro to the team. Unless you want to show us some of your source code. Which you can't do now, because we own it. No, I'm playing.
It's in source depth.
I know. Well, great to meet all of you. Thank you for your time. And
Thank
you have anything to say? You didn't. What are you doing for this
Just
team?
wanted to be on TV.
Just wanted to be on
shop
TV.
around for a new design job.
Cool.
I came from the web world, and I'm like, oh, these kind of interesting. It's actually useful because we do a lot of digital asset management inside Microsoft and other areas because you do come from the design world, and so it's great to know a product like this exists and that we're going to be able to help as users innovate and see where we can go in the future.
Fantastic.
That's what I have to say.
All right, good job.
Thank you.
All right, great to meet all of you. We'll probably come back and visit you guys again as you evolve in the company, and we'll see what happens.
We'll look forward to talking to you again.
All right, take care.
Thanks.